For those of you that haven't tuned in yet, this show is, and will continue to be, a platform for diverse voices, real stories, and unapologetic opinions. You see, I came to learn early on in my journey in the podcasting space that there was, in fact, an unwritten rule. There are subjects you don't broach, there are people you don't talk to, and there are questions that you simply do not ask. Why? Well, apparently, in doing so, that would mean that all of a sudden, you would represent this person and their beliefs. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I find that crazy. I wanted to change that. I wanted to go back to when we used to be able to have a conversation without killing each other, when we used to be able to agree to disagree and still respect one another. I want to hear the left to the right and everything in between, because I believe there is something to be learned in our differences of opinions. I believe that there is beauty in diversity, and quite frankly, I believe in healthy debate. So, free speech, if it ever did exist, is now under threat more than ever. You've seen the people outside, yeah? There are people who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to try and get today closed. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, we are in here by the skin of our teeth. And I have witnessed firsthand the lengths and the extremes that these individuals will go to. This week alone, they contacted Hackney Council, they contacted the licensing committee, they contacted the Metropolitan Police, they made Facebook groups against us, they flyed and protested against us in Shoreditch, they bombarded this privately owned venue with tens of emails to try and make them cancel. They went into the local neighbouring businesses and tried to put pressure on them to cancel this event. And obviously, as you can see, guys, they're outside. They even went so far to find some of the people that worked in this venue on LinkedIn and call them a racist. This is what's happening. There are groups of people out there that are trying to stop us from simply having a conversation. You see, most venues would have buckled under this kind of pressure, and I have to be honest with you, I can see why. This privately owned venue this week was warned by the powers that be that should they go ahead with today's booking, they may face significant backlash when applying for planning. This is just what happened this week. So, yeah, exactly. So, they're out there and we're here. So this podcast, but it's all, for me, I've always wanted to tackle the topics that others were too afraid to discuss. To talk about the things that really matter, even when it makes us feel uncomfortable. So I want to thank everyone at St Michael's, because this week they have quite frankly been through hell. Thank you for giving us a safe and neutral space to have a conversation and a debate. So can we give everyone at St Michael's a round of applause? It takes a lot of balls to stand up and be counted for, especially when you're being bullied and harassed and bombarded. But also, I want to thank you all, each and every single one of you, for coming out here today. Because as well, I know from speaking to a few of you that you also have been fearful. Fearful for being judged, for listening to an opinion that may not always suit the mainstream media narrative. So, just a little round of applause. Thank you for coming. Getting There, the podcast, is bold, controversial, and unfiltered. We dive deep into no-hold-barred conversations that are challenging the status quo. So quite frankly, guys, I could not think of a better person to be kicking off this afternoon's events. This lady embodies authenticity, honesty, boldness, And my gosh, she is definitely unfiltered. So, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I'd love to think you're all here for me, we all know the real reason we're gathered. Without further ado, it is Miss Katie Olivia Hopkins. Yeah, we did it! Oh. Hello.
All right.
Oof. Oh, bless everybody.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Thank you to everybody for turning out in the chilly, chilly weather and being here together. It's a really lovely thing. And for braving Shoreditch. You are amongst some of the ugliest that there are on the planet. And you made it. Cannot move for a vegan soy latte here.
I'm so pleased you're here because you can do the talking now. That's over. You're
good.
sweating.
You're perfect. You're perfect.
But listen, I think it's always important for me, for anyone that comes on the show, I kind of like to understand where you've been so I can know where you're going. So what on earth possesses a young girl to sign up to the army?
Well, I had a boyfriend, and actually, so he was called Mark. There's quite a long list of Marks. My mum and dad always say, oh yes, she went right through the Bible, did Katie, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. And he was called Mark, and he was ginger.
No!
I know. I knowingly dated a ginger person. People say I'm not diverse. I am so diverse. Honestly. But I'm never going there again. But anyway, he applied to go into Sandhurst, the officer training of the British Army. And I was really outraged by that, because I was like, well, if he can do it, if he can pass selection, well, I can.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I'd applied, carried a log around for a while, I don't know, well, people shouted at you, and then I was selected to go to Sandhurst. So I went through Sandhurst as one of the girls. There was only one platoon of girls. We were called the Lumpy Jumpers. Some people's lumps were better than others. But anyway, and 32 girls started. It's a year of being punished, really, by large.
So what happens in that year? What does a day look like?
It's brutal. It's infantry training for the army. It's kind of military strategy for officers, but it's about learning to be one of the lads, to learn what the soldiers do, to sleep outdoors, be colder than you've ever been, carry a log round whilst you're jumping over a 6-foot gate while someone's shouting at you. There's huge men, Welsh guardsmen, in tight woolen uniforms that shout at you while you march around being an idiot.
So did you enjoy it then?
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. I loved it.
So were you doing the same stuff that the men were doing?
Oh, it's the same. Everything is the same. There's no special uniforms, there's no special boots, there's no special clothes. Everything is what I would call equal treatment. If you're good enough, you make it. If you're not good enough, you don't. And that's my kind of thing. And like they would shout brutal stuff. So, you know, we'd be marching and it'd be, Hopkins, you could eat an apple through a tennis racket with those teeth.
Oh, nice.
Like it's properly brutal to teach you to be tougher. And so I made it through the Royal Military Academy. 8 girls made it out of there. I was one of them. But as it turns out, and some of you know this now about me, I'm also epileptic, or I was. And I hid that from the military because I thought if I prove that I'm good enough, they will overlook it. Whereas they found out about it, they weren't happy about it, and instead of going off to do my 35 years, I got kicked out of the military.
How did they find out?
I was one of the last parade squares where you had to practice to pass out. To pass out, you walk up the steps of the academy. It's a massive deal. Your parents are there, your grandparents. It's the full deal. And in a rehearsal for that, I had a little petit mal seizure, a little minor disappearance, which was pretty wacky on a parade square.
Oh, wow.
And so my records got looked into, I got found out, and I got kicked out. And in hindsight, you know, I will say, being a representative of all spazzes everywhere, other spazzes out there, any other spazzes in the audience? Well, I'm not alone. Okay, I am alone. There's no other spazzes. Okay, fine, leave me up. Like, if I wasn't known for being a complete Nazi, I would 100% be on Strictly, next Strictly. Come on. They have not had an epi on Strictly yet, have they?
No, they need to.
I'm just saying. I am just saying. They've had the deaf one, the blind one, the short one. They haven't had a spaz one. Regardless, I see now that an epileptic with a semi-automatic weapon might not be my...
The best idea. But looking back at your life, it seems that anything you turn your hand at, you're particularly quite good at. So did that feel like failure to you?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. My family were embarrassed, so no one talked about it. I was back home. I was supposed to be off on a 35-year career. You know, I'd been sponsored through university. I was going to do 35 years in the intelligence corps. I had one of the only regular commissions that they were giving out. And instead, I was back home at my mum and dad's house without a job.
And where was Ginger Mark?
Oh, I'd moved on by then.
Oh, okay.
Gingers are, you know, just for Christmas.
So what happens next then? Because obviously you've hung your hat on being in the army.
Everything. I just received a really, really good kicking. You know, I was the 800-metre runner for the army. So I'd gone like the extra bit to show, oh, look how fit I am, look how well I am, look how I can do this, you know. And then I'd been given a proper kicking and I was properly on the floor. And so I just applied for a job in my local town, back at my local university that I went to as the alumni officer, where basically you try and get money out of people to keep a university going. I'm now banned from my university campus, so things have moved along a bit since then. But I essentially got myself quickly into a job, and that led me into eventually being in a management consultancy world and moving into business, which saw me move to America, working in big business with a big consultancy firm, and that's when I watched the American version of The Apprentice with this brilliant guy, this tall guy with flame orange hair called Donald J. Trump, who was exactly... And he ran The American Apprentice, and it was great.
Okay.
And I was over there working in business. The American Apprentice was on TV, and it was brilliant. There was a really good, like, if you got the job, it was like building skyscrapers on the Hudson and working for Trump.
And you got to work with him if you
No,
won the
I was
job?
just watching this on TV.
No, but if you'd won the job, you get to work with him.
Yeah, you got to work with Trump, building buildings or proper projects. Like, it was a great show. Mm. And so I thought, eventually I came back to the UK and I thought, you know what? I'll apply to be on the British version.
Yeah, I know. I think we've actually got some highlights of that, James. So in 2007, you were catapulted into the public eye for your outspoken opinion.
I'm scared of what's about to happen.
James, should we just remind the people of what used to happen in The Apprentice? We've got some best bits for you.
He came home from the last task after Paul was fired and said that the better man came home, and that to me is the highest insult he could have paid, and utter bullshit. I would like to be the person.
Katie's head was a little bit down, especially in the early part of the day, and it was a little bit...
Why would her head be down?
So I stood there, I gripped the room, I found us a place to go and get the leg waxed. If that's someone with their head down, Christ alive, you know. When your best friends are Mr. Pino and Mr. Grigio, you want to watch it. Adam is a small schoolboy in very short shorts. If I had my dream world today, it would be that Christina was fired, but probably more physically than just in a boardroom scenario.
That must bring back some memories. Well, I never watch myself in anything. I never see stuff with myself in it. I wouldn't ever watch anything I've done.
Okay.
So watching that is uncomfortable. I think we can all agree that blue eyeshadow was not necessarily the look. And also, what was with the whole hamster chops?
No, I thought you looked great, actually.
I think I looked like a...
Obviously, this was all filmed months before it came out, so you had no idea what the public's reaction was going to be.
No, so two things. I had a job, a proper job. I had two daughters under the age of 2, and I was on The Apprentice. I went to film The Apprentice, and you film it 3-4 months in advance,
Yeah,
I can't remember.
like that.
And back in the day, it was a proper programme. You remember when The Apprentice used to be kind of good before it turned shit? Now, so we used to film it over like 12 weeks. So by the time you got to the end, you really, you know, it wasn't just pretending to hate people. You really, really hated them, you know. Because we were locked in a house, you weren't allowed a phone, you weren't allowed money, you had someone supervising you 24/7. They came with you to the bathroom, stood outside the bathroom door.
Wow.
It was intense, you know. So I genuinely, legitimately hated all of the people that I was on with. I also thought that everybody was doing the honest thing about saying what was true, but no one else was. It was just me. And then I also thought when I went in, because I am just this, you know, that I would come out somewhere near the middle and people would say, you know, oh, she was all right, wasn't she? She was all right. And then I got to the very, very end. You know, so I go in expecting to come out near the middle and imagining someone like Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And there's just like little Lord Sugar. And some of you know, well, if you know me, you know, he's tiny, you know that, don't you? Like he's literally, can I stand? Yes, I can.
Go for it.
So he's nipple height. And that specifically is a height that I disagree with. And in fact, I disagree, you know, generally, not us here, because obviously we're perfect, but out there in the wider Shoreditch area, I disagree with short people. And actually, genetically, I'm not going into eugenics because that would make me a Nazi, but you know how when you go to like amusement parks, they have those height things? So I have one of those on the gatepost at home for my daughter's boyfriends, and they have to be taller than that to come on the rides. Anyway, I thought I would get to the middle, you know, and come out, you know, and I would be like, oh, there I go, back to my job. Everyone was like, oh, she was quite fun, la, la, la. And then I get to the bloody end of the whole thing, and there's Lord Sugar, and I can't work for someone short. And then, this is the thing that it's difficult to explain, so I don't talk about this anymore, but you have to go and sit in Brentwood for 4 months, working for Lord Sugar, you don't do anything, waiting for the world to catch up with you, because they don't do the final until they do it as live. So I would have had to go and sit in Brentwood with some other, I don't know who else got through in the end, doesn't matter. And I was like, I am not sitting in Brentwood with a short person. Right.
For 3 months.
I have standards. And so, in the boardroom, the last boardroom, which by the way is not a boardroom, it's just a shell inside of a large, you know, sort of unit. So I said, Lord Sugar, you know, he came back to me because he'd given me my place in the final. And then he came back to me because someone said in his ear, speak to Hopkins. He went, Hopkins, you've got a face like a slapped arse.
Did he really?
Yeah, he said, you should be the happiest woman on the planet. And I was like, men have made me a lot happier than you, Justin. Thank you. And he goes, what's wrong, what's wrong? And I went, well, Lord Sugar, here's the thing. I think there are people in this room who are much more desperate than I am. So with a lot of thanks, you're fired. And
you said that to him?
Yeah, and then I walked out and I slammed the door behind me in a dramatic fashion, and then the walls of the pretend boardroom. And then we had to reshoot the whole thing because it didn't look good for TV, it didn't look good for Lord Sugar.
Did he air that or
no?
not?
They pulled that and they made me go back in, and then they made me reshoot a version where I went, oh, I've got young children at home and I need to go and be with my babies. And so the Guardian slagged me off for being a weak woman.
Did they?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, she was just weak. Yeah.
But you chose not to be.
But actually, I gave it the old.
Because you didn't want to go to Brentwood?
Oh, because I would not go to Brentwood with a short person.
So how did you first deal with being catapulted in the media? Because they called you the professional troll.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. So it was a nightmare because I was out and about, back at my job.
Which you were doing what at this point?
Oh my God.
At the
I
Met?
was working for the Met Office in the UK. So it's a government military base, the Met Office, and I was senior board level. Wow. And I was supposed to be making money for the Met Office, and I was in suit and heels and being the big thing. And then this came to air on TV. And oh my God, people think when something's on TV, it's happening to you right then. So like 1 minute you're in France trying to sell French people cheese, which I can assure you is not an easy thing to do. And the next minute you're in Tesco's and you've got, Brenda coming up saying, oh, good luck next week. And then B, as they were airing it, I got to see that I was the only one that had been honest and everyone else was playing nicey-nicey. And then I became the biggest bitch in Britain, and that was the Daily Mail headline. And lovely, my parents, they loved the Daily Mail. They used to get it every Saturday for the TV pages. And my mother believes everything the Daily Mail says. And so my mother was like, yes, she is. So I was known, but I was known as the biggest bitch in Britain.
And how did that feel then
to
be?
God.
Were you a single mother at this point?
I was a single mum, and not only that, I can tell you a secret because it's just us. So it's more or less private, right, this chat, isn't it?
Until Wednesday.
It's more or less private.
Exactly.
So at the time, I was also having a massive affair.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
I know. It's exciting.
you wrote on your application
God.
form,
Oh,
they
yes.
asked you what the worst thing you ever did was, and
Yes.
you wrote, stole someone else's husband and really enjoyed it.
Yes, and at the interview phase, so when you're applying, obviously you're applying. I remember filling that in, like, you've got to think, right, 20,000 people applying, I need to cut through. The worst thing I've ever done, I stole someone's husband, I really enjoyed it. Then at the interview phase, they get that piece of paper out of a drawer, and they go, I've got your CV here, and it's that. Oh yeah, I wrote on my CV, I stole someone's husband and that's on my CV, really. So I was having a massive affair. Is there a difference between a massive affair and a little affair? I don't know. It's just more naked, right? So a massive affair with lovely Mark. And so there was has anybody seen the naked Sex in the Field picture?
I was going to get to that.
Have you got it?
James, should we try and find that?
Find the Sex in the Field picture. I wouldn't say this, but I'm of an age now where it's fine.
And you look great in it too.
So this is the point. I was having a massive affair. This picture, if the boys can find it, was not staged. Don't find a nasty bastard one of me looking ugly. Do not have my nose inside profile. Find one where I look. Just find anyone really hot having sex. So anyway, someone was tracking the car. Ooh. Oh, no, that's not it. It's a hotter one than that. Yeah! Okay, hold on. Right. See that ring there? There is a man in this room right now with that ring on because it's the same guy. Ah. Yeah. So basically, look at this. I mean, look. Back looking good. Yes? No extra back fat peeking through. Hey? No grey bra. Thank you. Hair looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. And Mark also looking pretty good. Imagine if that picture was now and from the front. So basically, this guy was stalking us from the papers. We stopped to have some hot sex in a field because I'm a country girl. I got home, there was a knock on my door, and I opened it carefully because at that time I was very well known and you never know who it's going to be. Guy there from the newspapers back in the day when it was red tops, holding a picture of the front page of The People. Do you remember The People? With that picture on it, on the front page of the paper. And he said, have you got any comment? And I went, and shut the door. And I remember just lying on the floor, just going, oh my holy God.
How does
I shouldn't
one
say
get
that
over
here,
that?
sorry.
So surely your mum and dad have seen this.
Oh my God. So 2 children under the age of 2, board level at the UK military Met Office, supposed to be highly respectable. And this, I always tell people, well, actually, that's my husband. It is now. Then, not so much.
Wait, so Mark was still married at this point?
Mark was married to Ruth.
And his wife probably identified him from the front of the newspaper. Yeah? How did that go down?
Yeah, really, really great, actually. Really great. It was a great day. It was a great day. She went straight to the Daily Mail to tell her side of the story, which was very helpful. And I, that night, after the knock, 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 I had to ring my boss, the boss of all of the Met Office, and say, tomorrow on the front of the paper is a picture of me having sex in a field. And he said, thank you so much for taking the time to let me know. And that was that. I was fired, and one of the many jobs that I've been fired from. But yeah, now I look back, and I say this to any younger people, if you can do this, do this. Definitely, definitely. I don't regret it now.
And what about, so obviously it's come out that Mark's married, you already got
I'm
quite
the biggest,
a hate campaign against
I'm the biggest
you. Is that
bitch in Britain.
fueled that now?
Oh, now it's gone. Now I can't leave the house. The press are at Mum and Dad's house. I told my mother that they fraudulently photoshopped that and it wasn't real.
Did she believe you?
To start with. I mean, it was just, I wasn't like now, where I know the media, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Genuinely, I didn't know. I couldn't leave the house, and I was the most hated woman. Yeah, it was bad.
And when did the racism label start getting put on you? And for what reason?
Much later, yeah, much, much later. So from here, I went through a phase that some of you will remember where I was invited about twice a week onto ITV This Morning. Do you remember? So it was with Phil. Oh.
Did you think there was something odd about him? Did you think? Did everyone know what was going on?
Everyone knew. Like, so my time with Phil was before he was banging the runner.
Yeah. Was he banging other runners, though?
No, but everyone knew that Phil was, you know...
Homosexual?
A gay man who was happily getting on with being gay, and everyone was fine. You know, no one questioned anything. It was not a big deal.
But he was married?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, it was his private life's his private life. But then when he brought it into the studio, and then it was the runner, and then the runner was appearing, and everybody knew, and Holly Willowbooby, the thick bitch, was absolutely... I mean, seriously. I'm jealous because she's got great, or she had great tits, right? But, you know, Holly Willowbooby is as thick as this table, seriously. Seriously. But yeah, so Phil and Holly, they were still in their... Oh my God. Why am I sat like that? Oh, her, God.
Who's she? Tell us who she is.
Oh, I can't remember. But basically, she was... So how it worked was, they would have a really, really bloody dull story to talk about, right? And those two are as dull as dishwater, as you can see. So they needed someone to make it a bit entertaining, and I would always be exactly true. I still mean everything I ever said on that sofa, but I would also, you know, give it a bit of welly because it's TV, and then they would bring on some daft, ugly, overweight bint.
She doesn't look that overweight. She doesn't look overweight.
She's a chunker.
No.
Sod off, you look at you.
No.
She's a chunker, and she's got shoes, which is fine. But if you're on TV, don't dress like a twat. You know what I mean? Like, have standards.
So what are you two debating about here?
I don't know, but I look like I've got something shoved up my arse, which was... And those shoes are very good. So I'm very happy with that. But anyway, so I was obviously saying something outrageous, and then she would be the other side. And that was the format, right? So I say! Oh, that's Holly's drippy face. So and it's perfect for them because they get to be the side of the people at home who are outraged, and I get to be the twat, you know. But what I will say is they would send me the story. So it was on one particular example was people think about what they call their children. Well, no shit. You know, that isn't a topic, is it? So I went on, and then I just went for it, based on my own knowledge of doing the school run. I said there's some children's names I can't stand. When I hear some names, I know immediately what the mother's going to look like. When I hear Tyler, I know it's going to be a fat mum in a football shirt.
Is that Tyler's mum? That's not Tyler's mum.
A fat mum in a football shirt smoking out the window of her mobility car. Paid for by the council.
And you said that on the TV,
Said that
right?
on the TV, and she'll be shouting, "Destiny! Destiny, stop biting Tyler!" But the bit that no one knows is the next day I had to do the school run with the mother of Tyler and Destiny.
No.
Yes, and it was in the school newsletter. There was a complaint.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was my real life also. Can you imagine being, because all school mums are utter bitches, aren't they?
Yeah.
Utter bitches. Can you imagine what it was like turning up at my school?
But surely you know that making those kind of comments is going to amplify the
Yes.
circus that is around you. But how does that feel when the campaign of hate of you is just growing? Are you leaning into the role of being a baddie to
Yes,
some
so
degree?
back then, I sort of saw it as a, Sonia, we're friends now. That's Sonia Poulton. She's brilliant, right? We've come 180 together. But yeah, she did dress a lot in purple for a while, I remember. But regardless, so twice a week I'd be on there, and I definitely leaned into that role because I would be saying things that were true. And the reason that we got such, I mean, they were the biggest viewings they'd ever had and still have ever had.
Wow.
The reason was because there was this, people knew what I was saying. You know, people knew, mums knew that there's a mum at the school playground who is, there is that mum. It was just truth but amplified, you know. It was given a bit of extra welly by the delivery. And I was in that role, and that role led me to having a column in the Sun newspaper recruited me, and then the Daily Mail recruited me from the Sun. And that's when I began some other journey, which was stopping just being kind of entertainment, playing up against Holly and Stupid Phil, and actually caring about these stories that I was writing that mattered, about British people, about the way people were being made to feel, about what was happening to our country, about much more serious stuff. And that's when I became a target for pretty much everybody in power, because I was telling stories from the place that I went to, the migrant camp in Calais. I was looking and telling, and that's when I got quite serious, and that's when it became much more serious for me.
So what do you think is it you said for them to create this label and stigma around you?
I was just telling it as I saw it. The Sun, 2014, I wrote the column Stop the Boats. I'd use gunships to stop the boats, and by that I meant I would send the military to the Channel to defend my country against the invasion by foreigners of a land that I'm proud of. And I wrote that column, and I wrote, show me dead bodies, show me people in tears. I don't care. We have to stop the boats, because actually if you want to stop people dying, you have to stop the boats. This is 10 years ago. No government has any intention whatsoever of stopping the boats. And that's been absolutely true for 10 years. Show me bodies floating in the water, play violins, and show me skinny people looking sad, I still don't care. Stop the boats. Making the point, right? It's an emphatic way of putting it. Thank you. And for that column, that really, really kicked off. So the head of the United Nations Human Rights said that that column was incitement to racism, that I was responsible for racism in Western Europe.
Wow.
I was arrested by the Major Crime and Homicide Command from the Metropolitan Police. Thank them for their service this evening. And, and interviewed under caution. I was taken to a police station and interviewed about this column with two guys with, do you remember back in the day, the cassette recorder with play and record? So you'd have to press both to record. That's what they did. I went in, they pressed play and record to record the interview for writing a column in a newspaper.
So knowing what you know now, if you could go back to that moment where you were typing it up or writing it up, would you still say that, knowing
Yes.
the repercussions it's had?
Yes, definitely. It's really important. Thank you. And more importantly was to keep calling it out, which is what I did. So that was the Sun. Then I went to the Daily Mail. Then I went and slept in the migrant camp at Calais and showed that everybody there still hates each other. The Afghans still hate the Somalis, who still hate the Eritreans. All their old animosities and adversaries come over with them. It's not like, oh, we're refugees, we're so lucky to be here. It's not like that at all. And then I was over in southern Italy showing Save the Children and the ferry boats for the NGOs bringing over illegals from Africa into our country. And that column, when I was stood there on the dock with the Save the Children boats, that was when it was decided that I would be utterly, utterly removed from the face of the planet, wiped.
So is this before the lawsuit with Jack Monroe, which I
Before,
want to get to?
yeah.
So, as in your words, it was a coordinated attack.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you tell us, because until this week, obviously, I know that the powers that be tried to orchestrate things and to hide and censor things, but the more I hear stories like yours and bear witness firsthand to the things that happened this week, I cannot believe the lengths and extremities that people will go to cause pain, hurt, conflict to anyone else. I can't believe they've got that much time, frankly, either, but just to what they've done to the people that work at this venue, that are just going and doing their job, I can't imagine you being a figurehead of hate, how much they would target you. And for people who don't know, can we explain what happened?
Yes, I'll do it in brief. I don't like talking about myself. I know that seems like I'm always talking, but I'm usually talking about something else that matters. And B, I couldn't tell anyone what was happening to me because I was universally hated. I was a monster. I was seen as being the worst person ever. And so it didn't matter if I tried to tell what was happening because no one would listen nor care. They'd say, well, you deserve it. But I can tell it now, a little. So on that day, that column went in, and then my boss, the God figure at the Daily Mail, received emails coming from everywhere because everyone knew where I was and what I was about to tell, which is that the movement of human flesh is a coordinated movement of human flesh that is very, very profitable and profits governments and churches and heads of synagogues and all the major organizations take their pound of flesh. Trafficking, but it's the biggest people who take the cash from moving humans across into our country. And I was going to tell that story, and my boss received emails. All of a sudden he went, what the hell is going on? And I'm about to publish all of those emails in a book because it's time people saw. Yeah, it's coming. I don't care now. Because my boss sent those emails straight to me, so I'm putting them in a book for everyone to see. The chief rabbi, all of the board of deputies, signatures from all the heads of the Christian and Catholic churches, heads of supermarket chains copied in, Brendan Cox from Save the Children, big NGOs, large charities, Labour, heads of Labour, all demanding my removal, and I was fired that day, effectively. They kept me on for 3 months to shut me up, but I was fired on the same day as I was stood on the shore in Italy.
How did that feel?
You know, it's not being fired from your job. It's the other stuff. It's the fact that you're then a leper, that people who know you don't want to know you. If they see you, they look it's almost like you're a ghost, because it's almost like they look straight through you. They don't even catch your eye anymore. LBC radio I used to do at 10 o'clock on a Sunday. It was lovely. That's my favourite job. Thank you if you were listening. I love that job. I love that job because you used to ring me on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock from your kitchens in your gym jams and tell me your secrets. You know, we used to talk. It was so nice in the heart of London. I was so hated there by James O'Brien. Yeah, I was like, but it was so brutal to go in that building because they all hated me so much. They did so many things to me. And Fatty Fogarty wouldn't even, Sheila. She wouldn't even change studios with me. She wouldn't even come in to change over in a professional manner.
And didn't you have somebody pulling your phone lines as well?
Yeah,
so it looked like you had...
She was paid by James O'Brien's heavyweights, allegedly, but she would just rip the phone lines out, leaving me with no callers to try and throw the show. I was fired from there anyway, and I loved that job because it gave everybody a voice, which is all I actually want to do. And then it was, so all my jobs, then it was Trump tweeted me, so then it was my bank accounts. And then it was lawfare, which I know we're probably coming to with this one person. And then it was other things as well, my kids, my home.
How were they able to go for your bank accounts if you were just being
Just pulled
shut?
them overnight.
So all of a sudden you log on, there's nothing there, or you can't log on,
No,
they take the money?
you get a letter saying that your bank account is closed, please withdraw the funds, or here's the funds. And then PayPal, you know, just all of the peripheral stuff that allows you to just live.
The foundations that allow
Just
us
stuff.
to exist.
And then they came with law, a case in the courts. And I made a tweet that was wrong, and I deleted it, I apologized for it, I retracted it, but that wasn't enough. A new law was made just for me that says if you tweet something, serious harm is caused at the moment of publication, and serious harm doesn't have to be proven. So this girl...
It could be perceived serious harm, they word it as.
The girl perceived that she had been harmed. I fought it all the way to the High Court because I didn't want this to become a law because it's just been used against Joey Barton and others. It's now law. So I fought it all the way and I lost everything, the house.
So just to provide everyone here with a bit more background, you tweeted in 2015,
Yes.
Oi, Jack Monroe, scrawled on any memorials recently, vandalised the memory of those who fought for you, Grandma got any medals?
Yeah, so it was a vandalism of a war memorial that really got me. And I muddled up my bi/transsexuals and I got the wrong person. So I accused the wrong person of doing something she didn't do.
You deleted it.
Deleted it.
They then asked you to pay them £5,000.
Towards a refugee charity, and I would not, because of principle. But I would not. And I apologized. I offered to meet to apologize. I tried to make amends. But I would not pay $5,000 to refugee charity, and then it went to $30,000, but I still wouldn't do it. And so I took it all the way to the High Court, because you cannot seriously harm someone without them proving it. But they made a new law to say that that is the case.
And
it cost me the house. And Mark's stuff as well, actually. They took his savings as part of the bankruptcy, but before Mark even met me. It just went beyond anything that might even be rational. If you said, well, yes, you deserve to pay, well, yes. But then Mark's stuff, and then after that, it was the children. So very much like you've had a little bit here with them ringing the neighbours, you've had them ringing the council, you've had the council telling you you'll lose the ability to have planning. So they would report the children as being abused by me, that they'd seen me abuse the children. And so we had social services at the house interviewing the children, with a view to taking the children away. So all of the children now have different names. They've all had different names for as long as I know now. And then lovely Mark took them away and put them somewhere else in a different place, because we had a couple of jihadis were coming to the house so these jihadis practiced at home with a shock dummy and a hunting knife. And this woman, the wife, said she wanted my head as a wedding present. I think her name was... I can't... So those two jihadis were caught. We had a bunch of men dressed in black come to our house, didn't tell us why, set up an alarm system. And then those jihadis were caught and put in prison. And Keir Starmer just released one of them early before she served time. And then there was a play, I don't know if you remember, the boys will be able to find, but there's billboards. The Assassination of Katie Hopkins was a government-funded play after the jihadi attempt. And it was performed in Wales, you know, it was the sort of Shoreditch map. What a funny thing. And it was a play about my assassination. And at that point, I mean, everything they've got. And it just felt like my life was impossible. And the only way, I had to explain to my elderly mother why those billboards were up with that on.
And what was that conversation like?
There's no way to explain. Like, I said stuff that was true, so the idea is that they end you. And I believe that. You know, they will push you until you swing. The idea is that you swing from a tree. And the only way I could think to protect my children from me was to leave. And one way to do that rationally is to just end yourself. And I did set out to do that, but maybe I lacked courage. And in the end, I went to America. And I spent about the years from about 1999, 2015, 2025 we're now. So I must have gone about 2020, just before that, to the States. And I spent about 5 years, a 5-year period on the road in the States to just get the heat away from my children.
So what was it like just before you left, though, with Mark and your children at one point of the country? You've got no home, no means of earning any money, no security.
No
because
bank.
at our core as humans, we all want to feel safe, and even that's just a roof over our head.
Yeah.
But to feel completely vulnerable and exposed.
None of that. I had none of that. I had no bank, no stuff. I don't care about stuff now, so that's lucky. But it was, I guess, ultimately what you do as a mum or a dad is you want your children to be in a nest, don't you? You want them in a nest safe. And so the best thing for that was for Mark to take them and put them somewhere and cut me out of it. And so I just packed the bag, and it kind of was just to get me off on the road and to try and find a country where I could make some sense of myself and work,
and
you know.
What did you say to your children? Like, why? Because obviously you don't want to install the fear of the reality of what's happening. So how do you have those conversations with your children?
They were still quite little then. You know, this is 10, 15 years ago nearly now, I guess. 10 years ago. So, you know, they're 6 years old and 8 and 10 or whatever. But we just told them that Mummy had to go and work. You know, they always knew I wanted to work. I liked to work. So I was off to work. And that's what they were told. And then I would just be off on the road.
And what strain did that have on your marriage with Mark? That must have been incredibly hard.
Mark, that's the truth of the matter. You know, people are so kind to me now. Like, I've been lucky to have this 180. But like, lovely Mark really is the genius of the piece, and he's really the one that's kept us all going through it. So, and he is. And you know, he's everything that I'm not. You know, he's sensible, and like he's like thinks about things, and he's like calm, and like with the children, he like listens, and he makes reasonable decisions, and he can do like sensible conversations. And he doesn't just make rash decisions immediately. And actually, just as another secret, I forgot to pack because I don't normally wear pants, which I don't think we should be sharing in a church. But I'm actually wearing Mark's spare pair of pants. Yeah. So that's the sort of thing we have, is this, he's the one he's stayed with this through some crazy times. And it just so happens that because of everybody here and you guys, what we're now able to do is start to live again. And and that's sort of set me off, is these guys will set me off any day of the week, because it's these guys that have allowed us to start again. And and that's the amazing thing, and that's why I have such faith, is because ordinary people, and I mean that with such respect, you know, I'm the most ordinary, whatever, ordinary people are such the best thing about this country. And that's why I have so much faith, is because I know that now we're starting to really, really win, and I can feel it, you know. It's massive.
But just before you went off to America and you were having this massive court case, you were potentially about to die.
Yeah.
Because I think we're like forgetting that was in the mix as well. Your epilepsy.
Oh, yeah, there was a massive...
Am I right in saying you were having like 46 fits a day or
yeah,
something?
no, I was... So my seizures, the fits, whatever you want to call them, doesn't matter to me. Are there any other epileptics in? Yeah, you're representing. That's what they call it in Shoreditch. I'm here to represent my black people. So, well, bless your daughter. Is she all right? She's all right. She's strong like me. Oh, well, good for her. Well, good for you. I always said it'd be much harder to be a mum of someone who was epileptic than to be the epileptic. So I have enormous respect. She's fine. So yeah, in the middle of the court case, and they knew I was going in to have this massive surgery because my seizures, they were nighttime seizures, so I was able to function and pretend to be okay in the day. And then at nighttime, I would have these huge grand mal, so they would just rip my arm out of its sockets. So my arms have been dislocated maybe, I think, 43 times on either side.
Painful.
Really, yeah,
hugely.
it's up there. It's up there.
And then how do you get them back in, or what happens?
You have to go, you get picked up in an ambulance, and then you go in, and then they kind of... But there's a lot of drugs involved. Oh. And I really love drugs to do with pain relief. Like, if you can ever get the opportunity, not to push drugs, other than the people in Shoreditch that actually do, but like, if you ever get the opportunity for gas and air, you know, morphine, bloody...
Take them up on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so good at gas and air, I tell you, I can empty a tank like that. But anyway, and I would bite my tongue off, I would bite my lips, that's why there's this, I've got a missing tooth. So regardless, I had to have, so they said a seizure would get me within 2 years. They
couldn't end your life?
End you, yeah, but they wouldn't tell me when. It was just within 2 years, one of these will end you because your brain can't take it, you know. So then this brilliant man said, but we can operate. And I remember lovely Mark and I sitting, it was in the Royal Neurological Hospital here, and he said, but the risk is, you know, the risk is a deficit in the medical term, and it could be left arm, left leg, sight, speech, and what they mean by deficit is it doesn't work anymore. Okay. So your left leg might not work after surgery, or your arm, or your sight. I'm left-handed. God's just, he has a laugh, doesn't he? Or your speech. Imagine. Oh, no. Imagine if I came back not able to speak. Imagine if I had a fat nurse. No, that was just an inappropriate joke. But you know, so there was just all of this, oh, you might not come back at all. And I was all right with that bit. Just don't bring me back unable to be.
Did that kind of stop you from not having it done at all?
Because yeah, I couldn't have it done.
Coming back as a vegetable?
No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't come back like that. I couldn't. And then in the morning, so I'd be on the road. At the time, I had a TV show, If Katie Ruled the World, and at night, I'd be having these seizures. And in the mornings, I'd wake up, I'd text Mum, still here. And I would text lovely Mark, still here. And lovely Mark would be like, fuck it.
Wanted some peace.
There's no relief. Oh. They said 2 years, it's been 2.5 years. And that was the funny thing as well about the NHS. They put me on a wait list that was 3 years long. Which I don't want to argue with you guys, but I haven't really got that long. And anyway, then one day, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. We're all on our path. And one day I was coming back from filming just at the end of Westminster Bridge, and I had a massive seizure in the middle of the day, bashed down onto the roundabout, I had this cream coat. I smacked down in the middle of the roundabout at the end of Westminster Bridge, probably the busiest place in London. I smashed my teeth through my lips, bit my tongue off. I don't know if you know about what happens with mouths and tongues when they bleed, but let me tell you, they bleed. Cream coat, blood. I was on the phone, a lady comes, picks the phone up, it's lovely Mark I was chatting to, and lovely Mark goes, hello, hello. She goes, oh, hello, I think whoever it is has been shot. Not a word of a lie. And bear in mind, I'm me in London, hated.
Yeah.
And there's blood everywhere. And lovely Mark's like, okay, she's been shot.
Oh my God.
And my arm's dislocated and all the rest of it. And that experience, because it was in the daytime and therefore my life had become, you know, it's
because
not
then you
practical.
can't drive cars, you can't
I haven't
really
been
work.
driving, but someone reported me way back and took away my license.
Oh, okay.
Regardless. And anyway, and that was just perfect because I was so screwed that actually now the operation, I had the courage.
And the operation, coming up to the operation, coincides with the court case.
The court case is going on. I'm asking, please, I'm about to have surgery. I don't know if I come back from it. Would you please allow me to park it for 6 months?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not coming, you know, in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm not coming back, this problem goes away for lovely Mark and the children, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I asked them to park it for 6 months just while I get this surgery done, and they won't. They keep coming, they keep coming. They want letters. You know, the letters, the letters, the letters. We're taking you to the High Court.
Does that have an effect on your epilepsy as well? Because surely stress can't be
I
good
don't
for a
even know.
condition like that.
I just know that it's just more than I can imagine. This is for writing some truths in a newspaper. Bear in mind, I have never killed anyone. I've wanted to, often. But you know, you have to remember, like I say to people, you know, I reach out to people now who are in the eye of the storm. Greg Wallace or Gino DeCampo or whoever it is. Sean Walsh I met on the train on the way up. I reached out to him when he was in it. You have to remember who you are, because they literally make you feel like you deserve to die, you know. Anyway, I had the surgery and I got lucky. Yeah, I really got lucky. I really got lucky. Yeah, no, I mean, well done the surgeons. All I had to do was have a lovely sleep for 14 hours or 16 hours, I think. It was lovely with a catheter. I have to tell you, my best days, catheter and morphine, darling. Such the way to go. And then they did my surgery. So if you give me your hand.
Oh, no.
Are you squeamish? Are you squeamish?
No, not really, sometimes.
So that's
Oh, my God.
the hole. And then if you feel this, can you feel it move?
Yeah.
That's my brain moving.
God, so what happens if you fall on your head?
Where's the lady who's
You're
daughter?
fucked.
Do you want to feel it?
No. So if you fall over or you have an accident, you're like properly in trouble, Katie.
Yeah, the twats outside protesting. All they have to do is twat me on the head and it's game over.
Well, listen, on that note, shall we take a little
Yes.
break? I'm going to let you run off that way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can keep your seats. Hi guys, Brogan here from Getting There, the podcast. Now, as many of you will know, my journey in getting there means looking after my spiritual, emotional and physical well-being, along with my son. Now, earlier last year, my son was diagnosed as having heavy metals in his body, which actually came as no surprise, as many of us have heavy metals in our bodies. Living in this day and age, we are subject to so many toxins. So that is why I've been using zeolites. Now, zeolites bind the heavy metals in your body and help us pass them through and eradicate them out of the system. My particular favourites are the Advanced Cellular Detox, alongside with the Everyday Gut and Body Detox. Now, guys, this is usually £95 per month, but I have a special offer for you of just £25 a month. Please visit www.gettingtherepod.com/detox to secure yours.
Well done, everybody! That's so funny. If they're listening to that outside, it's the racist national anthem. Can you hear it? Cheers,
Guys,
everybody!
Yeah, cheers! I need to be careful with this because I'm all in white. Cheers.
Oh, you
Guys,
should tell them, timings.
Thanks for bearing with us. We appreciate it's cold. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be cold. We've got about 35 minutes left. We're going to be doing pictures afterwards, so I appreciate that you're cold, so thank you for staying.
Yeah, if you need to stand up and jump about, cuddle someone, jump into someone else's coat.
Nick someone's husband, go for it.
Rude.
So you were just talking about America. You've just come back from the inauguration. What was that
Yes.
like? What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
So we now have the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, in charge.
Donald!
And he did not come to play this time. And I appreciate we are British. Some people might not be. I appreciate they are Americans, and Americans are different to us. But I tell you what, Donald J. Trump has the ability to reset all of the bullshit that you have been suffering under for the last X number of years. And he already is.
Yeah.
He is straight out the bat. He's got rid of the transgender stuff out of sports already. He's already pulled from the World Health Organization, which means they can never lock us down again. He's done amazing stuff very quickly. And to be there in DC, to feel what it was like with Americans are waking up in the morning and going, oh, I feel good. Why do I feel good? Oh, because someone's on our side. And I think that's exactly what British people have been missing for far too long, is feeling like you've got someone on your side. Yeah.
So I suppose we touched on earlier about your journey and having this kind of witch hunt as such after you. And I think, quite openly, Donald's had that. He's also had his bank accounts frozen. He was tried to be censored, put into prison. And I suppose my question is, knowing what you've been through and then watching him go on to be president is quite a remarkable thing. Is it something you actually thought would happen, knowing what the powers that be are like?
Yeah, it's a strange one, because, the elections, how they panned out. There was the election in 2016, and we had just had Brexit, if you remember, and they were voting, and it was 99% Clinton gets in. Do you remember Hillary Clinton? 99, oh, she's in, she's basically won. And because I'd spent so long on the road with ordinary Americans, I knew Brexit would happen in terms of the vote, not actually that it's ever been implemented. And I knew that Donald Trump would win. And so I went on CNN, I was still allowed at that time, and I said, you're wrong, this is the Clinton News Network, you're wrong, Donald J. Trump is going to win, he is going to be 45th president, and he got in. And what was so brilliant was that because all of the mad Shoreditch vegan twats, they'd already bought their tickets because if Clinton was going to win, so they had to come to DC because they didn't want to waste their hotel bookings. And that's why they had the big protest the next day. Do you remember the pussy hats?
Yes.
And they were all there, the really ugly kind of women with their signs, My vagina is made of steel. I do not want to know about any, vegan's vagina. And the story is, which I love, I was still on LBC radio at that time. And I wrote a column in the Mail, which I then talked about on radio, and I said that they were out there protesting Trump's presidency, the first presidency, with signs that said, my pussy is made of steel. And I said live on radio, well, I can fit a 12-ounce can of Coors up my vagina sideways.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's a clip. That exists in real time, and that got reported by the Shoreditch lefty twats to Ofcom.
Oh, wow.
It was a formal Ofcom complaint, and I had to go to a formal Ofcom disciplinary meeting to explain my vagina. True story.
Wait, stop. No, wait, take me back. So what do they ask you about your vagina in there?
So they ask you to restate what you said. They've got the scripts in front of them. They've got it verbatim. And that what annoyed me is that they didn't get the comedic punctuation right, because it was, I could fit a 12-ounce can of Coors up my vagina sideways. Right, the joke is comma, side, and they just read it without the comma. And so I said, you missed the comma, that's the comedy. You missed it. But yeah, it was a formal warning.
Oh, wow.
Not to talk about vaginas on LBC.
Well, so I
Anyway,
think...
but now he's back in power.
Yeah. So
Now he's back
something
in
I've always admired about the Americans is they always have this... They always celebrate their identity and their nationality, but as Britons, when did we lose the ability to do that? Because even, and again, guys, I'm just liking it through my experience in just doing this. I was talking to people, I'm going to light up the room and I'm going to play Britannia, and everyone's like, oh, you're really pushing buttons. And at what point is it deemed wrong to play Britannia in an event? And like, for example, Sadiq Khan stopped the taxi driver.
Ooh. Yeah, I love it. Come on, let's go panto. Woohoo!
He doesn't let the cab drivers have the flags outside the windows anymore, does he?
No.
So at what point did we lose our ability to celebrate our identity, do you feel, from you being in the eye for so long?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things. No, I don't speak for anyone but myself, but let it be known, the Muslim Mayor of London will never be a sir in the eyes of ordinary British people. Never, 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 never. He has no right to be the Mayor of London and is not regarded as such. My message to anybody internationally watching this is that he does not speak for the British people, nor will he ever speak for the British people. And what is so splendid about the Americans is they are brought up God and guns. They understand the Constitution, which says you have God-given freedoms in your soul, and you have a Second Amendment, which means you have a weapon and you can defend your freedoms. And that is a very, very powerful thing. And Americans will never lay down their arms, and it doesn't matter what you think about guns. That's the reason they will remain a free people, and I am absolutely in support of the Second Amendment.
Oh, wow.
And the other important thing, just to give a bit more ammo to the Shoreditch vegans, I love guns. It's a deliberate thing that you have been absolutely, brutally whipped with, which is to take this country and deliberately tear it apart. Tear apart everything that you believe in and belong to. Take the British flag, the English flag, and make it so that flying the English flag is a racist symbol. Take things that we used to believe in, churches, and tell people don't bother going anymore. Convert them into mosques or architects' offices or studios for chuffing podcasters. It's about taking away the sense of belonging to a community. Rip apart the family. Make it so that the family doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about having a mum or a dad. You can have 2 mums or 4 mums or half a mum or a vegan mum with a dad, with surrogacy, and whatever you want to do. Believe what you want to believe, but don't ask me to believe the same shit that you believe, because I absolutely refuse. They took apart your country, your flag, they took apart your communities, the things you held dear, the people you knew, the people you used to know at the shop. They took apart the family unit, make it so that everyone's confused. And then they came for the individual, our children. And they teach our children in school that they don't know what body they're in, they don't know who they are, they don't know what their gender is. And someone needs to stand up very clearly and say, this is your country, this is your God, this is your biological sex, there are only 2 of them, and you need to be proud of this country. And that's what we need to bring back.
Hear, hear.
Yes, yes!
But the more I listen to politics and watch it, I think, left wing, right wing, is it all the same fucking bird? Like, have British people ever really been put forward, or is it just the elite that are orchestrating us?
Yeah, I really admire, I should take a moment to get you all to thank Brogan and all of the tech team, the security team, actually the police that are here. I mean that sincerely. Because you're doing a really good job, and I like the way that you go. Politics, is it all the same fucking bird? Like, I think it's important because that is the question, and yes, absolutely. My personal belief is that there is a global organisation of maybe 300 or so very, very powerful people that run the globe. And the idea, if you imagine all different glasses, all different levels of drinks in them, their idea is that all the glasses, all the drinks will be equal. So we'll take from this one to give to that one. We'll take from the British people and give it to people in the Caribbean for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You know, reparation for slavery. From white people that have never owned a friggin' slave to black people who've never been a fucking slave. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing you ever heard, and I'm not a racist bone in my body. And that's, I think, exactly it. It's a global cabal that descended to eviscerate me, and governments are rewarded for doing what they're told to do, for destroying countries.
Because it feels like to me, looking in and everything since COVID, there is something intentionally trying to destroy the UK infrastructure.
Exactly.
When children are going to school dressed as cats and frogs and probably fucking dinosaurs, I don't know, and that's okay, and we need to, you know, tailor to their needs and give them a litter tray because they have rights. It just feels to me like there's something intentional going on in the UK at the moment, and it seems a little bit frightening.
And that's exactly right. I think of it a little bit like if you imagine Squid Game, you know, the guy overseeing it laughing. That's how I see politics. You know, the different countries are the players, and the powerful are up behind the glass, laughing at us. And what's so interesting now, and no wonder they tried to assassinate Donald J. Trump twice, is all of a sudden they're starting to wonder if that glass that they're behind is actually bulletproof or not. Because suddenly the people are starting to rise, and the people of Great Britain are also starting to rise. And I can feel the change, I really can. But absolutely, I think it's a global, powerful group that control. They had a playbook for COVID, they rolled it out globally, and you saw what happened with Boris Johnson. He wasn't going with what they wanted. He was saying, well, masks don't make any sense. Well, lockdown doesn't make any sense. And then in March 2020, he got pulled in, he got brought to heel, he was in intensive care, yeah, sure thing, and he was very ill, and they didn't know if he was going to make it. Yeah, sure, because that was his choice. Either go with the program or we will end you. And that's honestly what I believe is happening here, is we're being played, but suddenly the people have said enough. And you can only take so much away from people before people have nothing to lose. And increasingly, British people are feeling like we have nothing to lose because we will not leave our children in a country in the state that it currently is in, because it is ridiculous.
Well, we spoke about censorship and cancel culture.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like it's also a bit of a class issue as well. And I interviewed, I don't know if you know him, but Dapper Laughs, and he was saying about certain people that are lower class can make jokes, and it's like, oh my God, you vile, uneducated pig. Yet his peers that were more educated could make the same jokes and get away with it. And I feel that we kind of see this with Douglas Murray, right? Douglas Murray is an upper class, well-educated gentleman that expresses the same views that both you and Tommy Robinson does. Douglas has a column in The Spectator. Tommy Robinson is in prison and also deemed a far-right activist. So I'm wondering at what point is class an issue as well?
Yeah, it's, you know, that is absolutely the question. And so much love to Tommy and his family and Tommy's children and Tommy's former wife, because obviously completely separate. But I just think, absolutely, and what's so wonderful about Douglas Murray, unlike so many others, is Douglas absolutely acknowledges that. It's a really lovely thing that Douglas says, I can say this, yeah, because of my class, because of my accent, because of my education, I can say this, and Tommy can't. And that's a really magic thing that Douglas does, because he has such a massive audience. And I think what's important, and one of the things, not Tommy at all, but others, is what we must never do is turn in and fight ourselves. So if someone on our side, the side that just wants everyone to be okay and as free as they can be, is criticising someone else who's in the freedom movement, loosely, you know, whatever you believe. I never think we should be turning in and criticising ourselves. I think Douglas has such a vital role to play in The Spectator with the, you know, the Shoreditch lot probably wouldn't protest Douglas. I mean, maybe they would. You know, then you've got Tommy, you know, street level warrior. You know, I have a role. You have a role. Dapper, what a great guy. So we all have a role to play. We mustn't criticise, but absolutely the class system is still there and connections are still there.
Well, interestingly, we're going to play a little video that I put on my Instagram, and somebody lost their job from simply resharing this. James, do you want to share?
We have a corrupt establishment who everything they're doing is going against the interests of the British people. Mass migration goes against the interests of the British people. Yeah? They've sold us out. Their relationship with Big Pharma goes against the interests of the public. Yeah? All of these things are for profit and money before people. And I want to see people before profit and money. And I want to see the interests of our country and the interests of my children. And do you know, I always try and have this conversation with your wife, yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
When the chaos is coming, yeah. And I say that this is far bigger than me or you or my kids. This is far fucking bigger. Now, if someone has to fight, and I've said this, if someone has to fight, let me fight. I want to fight. I don't want my son to have to fight. I don't want him to grow up being oppressed or being treated like a second-class citizen in his own country or being a minority in his own country. The face of this country is changing forever. Yeah? Not for the better. Not for the better. And at some point, people got to stand up and say they can't keep moving.
Lost their job. Lost their job for simply resharing that.
You know, and he's such a sweetie, really. He would not thank me for telling you that, obviously. He also he really likes donuts. So we have like a bit of a thing because he can be a Chumbawamba if he doesn't keep an eye on it, right? And now he's in prison. He's only on tuna cans. So he's losing weight rapido. So that's a thing. But no, he's such he's unstoppable. He's irrepressible. And any of you that have been near him know he's just, it's this, isn't it? He's like, high energy. And he's so in the fight. And it's so reassuring to me that so many people have realised that they've been lied to about Tommy, maybe lied to about me, that doesn't matter, but that when people turn up for the Unite rallies, or whatever you call them, freedom rallies I like to call them, it's so nice. People come to those rallies not because of necessarily Tommy or anyone, they come because it's a lovely day. Because it's like this, you're surrounded by brilliant people who want you to be all right. Like if you lost something, someone would hand it in, or if you pissed yourself, someone would say, oh, I spilt my drink, sorry. It's our kind of people, you know what I mean? Lend you their pants if you forgot your pants. Our kind of just ordinary, sweaty, not to gesture at you, but she's a bit sweaty.
We were sweating backstage. Well, I was sweating.
She's a sweaty one.
She came near me. I said, just be careful because I'm really
we're
sweating.
the normal. You know, we just got changed in the toilet, you know.
On bubble wrap
to
I've
keep
got these on.
to keep her trousers off the floor. You know what I mean? Tommy's us, that us. And what's so genius about him, they've thrown him in prison again and he still will not relent from the fight. It's amazing. His family, you know, and now he even has the world's richest man calling for him to be released. I mean, it's just, all I don't want is for Elon to send him to fucking Mars because we need him. So I feel I'm hopeful, we're quietly hopeful. I'm going to see Tommy, hopefully if they let me next week.
Okay, so Tommy is an activist, and in my eyes, I've kind of watched your journey and obviously studied it more in depth the last few months. And to me, I would say you're a type of activist. You're fighting for our freedoms. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I think I really, 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 I really love people. Like, I love them. And oh, it's going to set me off any day. This will. Don't come at me with those like
I'm just worried that I'm going to knock the wine.
Fuck off.
Okay, go on.
Some fucking psychotherapist. I haven't got cancer yet. I may have, but fuck that too. But, you know, bring it. And well done to everybody who's got cancer here and you're still at it. Come on. Fuck it. Fuck it all. Like, I love people and I really love British people. And I really know how brilliant and funny and tough and amazing British people stop in the street and go, "Go on, Katie!" And I'm like, "Come on, British people! Come on! Come on!" You know, and if I get hit by a fucking Mohammed driving an Uber in that minute, I'm all right with that. Come on! That's how we go down, right? That's how it's going to be. And Tommy's the same. Yeah. We're going to roar, right? And we're roaring now, and it's coming. And like a lady in the hotel I'm staying in, she's out. I met her yesterday in the lobby, and it was pissing down. It was grey. It was shit. And she's God knows how old. I don't think she can see. I'm not sure she can hear. I'm not certain she hasn't pissed herself, but she's got an umbrella in one hand and a glass of Prosecco in the other. And she's about to meet her son, who's gay, and they're going to take her out and take her to Les Mis. Come on, British people, right? That's us. And that's how I know we're going to win. Because those sado bastards out there have got no sense of humour, no personality, they've never had sex in their life, and they're dull fuckers. So I know that we win. And I know Tommy and I have got that same... We can start to, even though where he is now, I mean, God bless his kids, but his kids are going to have it as well. I know they are. You know, they're ready, and it's exciting. This was the time to be alive, to watch Trump blast a hole in it, to see Elon ride to Tommy's rescue, to know that Keir Starmer is scared, even with Lord Ali up his arse. He is scared. And we're not scared. Are you scared?
No.
Fuck it. You may be fucking freezing, but you are not scared, right? Bring it. What have we got to lose? Bring it. Come on. Let's have it. Come on. Yeah.
So,
that's... Oh, yeah, we've got to go.
ignore him. No, we're fine.
No, we've got to go.
It's
Everyone's
my show.
freezing.
I'll do what I want.
Do you want us to shut up?
No.
Yes.
We've got more time. So here's my question, right? How do we all come together?
Oh, look at us.
Because there are people
come
that go
together?
away today, they've met like-minded individuals, they want to feel like we come together. Not in a field, Katie. Put the legs together, not in a field, love. Just come together.
Am I allowed to do one little thing?
Come on then.
Okay, so...
Not the splits.
Lovely market, this is totally inappropriate in a church. It's not related to what you're asking me, and you all need to go to the bar, and we promise to finish on time. But Lovely Mark and I are still doing the naughty business. Yes. Yes, we're still at it, darlings, all these years on. But let me just, I'm gonna share with you, just to warm the cockles. Oh my God, if there's children, parents, hold their ears, and any young boys related to Tommy, hold their ears. So, Lovely Mark and I still do it. We have something I call the lazy scissors. Let me tell you, ladies, so if anyone's staying in a hotel tonight, this is going to inspire you to get at it. Let me tell you how it works. Right, so what you do, you're in your Jimmy Jim Jams, ladies, from Primani. Hey? Bit of last week's Chinese down the top. Never to mind that, never to mind that. Good news, ladies, you can leave your Jimmy Jam top on. Leave it on. Now, for the bottoms, all you have to do is pull them down just to the back of the knee. Okay?
Oh my
Get
God.
in position. Don't worry, it's fine. Yes? So now you're ready. So now what happens is Lovely Mark, or your person, is going to make entrance, but from the rear. But not in the back door. No, those days are over, ladies. I see you. We only did that shit to get the ring. Once we've got the ring, no more back door. No more back door. No more. Do you still do back door?
No.
No more back door. And also there's less messing around. You know, back in the day, it used to be very, very moist, didn't it? It used to be, it was pretty juicy. Sometimes there would be slippage. From the back door to the middle terrace, there was a... Like, you get an every delivery in the wrong door. Not anymore. In the middle door. So you're in, you get one leg over, and what that means is you've got Lovely Mark's leg here. Because at this age, we both need to get to where we've got to go. But we might not be able to get there together. This way, I've got Lovely Mark's leg, and Lovely Mark can just think about the lady down the road with the big tits. And off we go. And at that point, it is every man for themselves, let me tell you that! I'll also say as a positive, just to incentivize you further when you leave here to get amongst the lazy scissors, is everything is less moist than it used to be. Even Lovely Mark, ladies, you know. Back in the day. Oh, God. It was everywhere, wasn't it? Everywhere. Oh, God. Like 7 or 8 Yakults worth. Just, oh.
That was an interesting bit of information.
So do we come together? What? Sorry. Yeah.
We're going to start wrapping it up, but there seems to be...
There's a man at the back like that. Wrap it up! Wrap it up! She's going to burst into flames.
No,
wrap it up!
But there seems to have been, like, we've discussed your journey all the way from Sandhurst to Trump's inauguration and everything in between.
Yeah.
But there's been a massive shift in perception about you, right?
Yeah.
You are hugely celebrated now, Katie. This event sold out, not like, within a second, literally. What do you think has brought that 360 shift in your life?
Well, yeah, so it has been a 180 really now.
Did I get my maths wrong? Yeah?
Well, 360 would take you back to where you started, but I don't want to make a thing. But yeah, 180. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I knew what you meant.
Same
Who
birds,
gives a
isn't
shit?
it?
No one cares. No one needs to be a smart twat. So, but it's been a 180, right? And it's been just, I'm so lucky to have lived for people to see what we need to see, that we are being treated despicably as great British nationals who belong in Great Britain. And that's really all I've ever tried to do. I know I was hated for so long. I was chased or culled from my own country. But all of that time, even tonight with them shouting my name outside and things that aren't true about me, what I can rely on and what it needs to come down to, and I ask you to do this for yourselves as well, when you're being really got at, even by people you work with or your own family members, you've been made to feel pushed out, you've been made to feel alone, you've been called names, you've been pushed out of things, is always sit down quietly by yourself and remember who you are. Because I always knew when I signed up to fight for my country when I was 20 years old, I signed up for 35 years. And I've been blessed that I've been able to return to that. And that's what I think my purpose is still, is to fight for my country, to fight for ordinary British people, and to try and get ordinary British people's freedoms back. And I will not relent from this fight. I will not give in.
Well, I guess this brings us to the final question. As you know, the show's called Getting There, and it's all about us following our internal illusion, island, oasis of happiness.
Yeah.
And where are you aiming at? What's your version of there?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I guess two things. One thing is we must be fearless about the end. You know, some idiots think that life is about preserving it, living as long as you can. You know, how old can I be? Sod that for a game of marbles. Life is not about how long you live it, it's about how big. And you must never be fearful of the end, because I've glimpsed at the end, and there is nothing to fear, I promise you. And the second thing that's so important to me, for all people, ordinary Brits like myself, is that you have been made to feel, over the last 5 years particularly, that you are completely alone. You've been pushed out, you've been ridiculed, you've been force-fed a diet of nonsense. You've been made to wonder what the point is, crucifying yourself every day and it not getting any easier. But what events like this show, and what you learn when you look up and smile at people and see the grandma with her Prosecco in the lobby, is that you are not alone, my loves. You are many, and we are stronger together. And they have taken everything from me. I am on extra time. I was supposed to be done at 40. And I can promise you there is nothing they can take from me. There is nothing that I fear. And I will not cease from this fight. I will always be in front of you. Let's go!